And our top story is that pretty unusual sight over the skies of downtown Chicago.
Yeah, a lot of people saw it, and they're like, what's going on? What is it? Was it a military exercise, or maybe something more? Anita Padilla live this morning at McCormick Place, telling us more about it. Good morning, Anita.
Hi, good morning to both of you. Yeah, you know what? This is going to be right over here at McCormick Place, where the convention center is at. This is going to be one of the areas where they're going to really be beefing up security, because this is where the world leaders will be meeting. In between here and their hotels, they're going to be very busy back and forth. So we know that, you know, Secret Service, local police, they're all doing their part to make sure that these dignitaries are safe. And check this out, too. Now, this is another video we want to share with you because it's really, really interesting. You saw this first on Fox Chicago News. We showed this to you last night. The Blackhawk helicopters that were flying over the Chicago area, doing it in a very low, drill-like maneuvers, flying in some very unusual patterns. And it was freaking people out because they were calling our newsroom saying, what's going on? There are military men hanging out of the windows here. And they were flying over the United Center, the medical districts, along the river, the lakefront. But the military, you know, because we checked into it, the military is saying it's not related to NATO, it's part of a training exercise. Okay, whatever, but we don't usually see that here in Chicago, and we do have the NATO.
That is 2 helicopters flying flying through downtown Chicago. It's 9:30 at night. They don't even have lights on. They're flying about 10 stories above the street. So weird.
A pretty scary scene along the Chicago River turns out to be a military training exercise. Good evening, everyone. I'm Robin Robinson.
And I'm Bob Surratt. Thank you for joining us. Our viewers called in describing men with automatic weapons hanging out of helicopters. Fox Chicago's Mike Flannery reports on this developing story live from Lakeshore Drive tonight. Mike? Well, Bob, about 90 seconds ago, two choppers came zooming right up the Chicago River here, close enough almost for us to touch them. For those of you who saw the movie Transformers that was shot in this same area, there was a scene in there in which Special Forces elite fighters in helicopters in battle formation came in, vectoring in on the Trump Tower behind me. It was a scene not unlike that in various parts of the loop this evening. You know what? There was a bland press release in early afternoon from City Hall that referred to, quote, a routine military training exercise. Well, there was nothing routine that folks reported about seeing the jarring, as they witnessed the jarring scene of at least 3 Blackhawk helicopters flying at times in close order formation, at other times separating fairly widely, zooming in and around residential office towers. We talked to several of those who were still a little bit shaken up by what they had seen.
We saw military guys in the helicopters.
They were hanging out of the choppers?
Yep. We saw 3 helicopters in a row, and they kept circling around.
And again, various spokesmen and spokeswomen for several city agencies, including the NATO Summit Host Committee, insist this has nothing at all to do with next month's NATO Summit. Bob, I've got to tell you that some of the folks downtown here are not buying that at all, nor are they buying that phrase that was featured in the press release, quote, a routine military training.